Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, and salutations unto you brothers out there pushing truth of Yahweh Bashem Shai. This lesson is entitled Another Token That This System is Falling. Alright, I saw this article last week, and I put up on the group chat for the brothers, and the brother from Winnipeg, a war. He was saying, that's like a sign, that this place is falling because basically Hudson Bay Company, HBC, that's what HBC stands for. It's Hudson Bay Company, cut 2,000 jobs. All right, and Hudson Bay Company, which we can read a little about here, which we'll read about it. Hudson Bay Company is a Canadian retail business group of fur trading business for much of its existence. It says Hudson's Bay Company owns and operates retail stores throughout Canada, Belgium, Germany, and the United States. HBC, the headquarters in Toronto, because you can walk by there. It's on what is that, by Queen Street. But yeah, man, this company was huge. This company existed for centuries. This was one of the great pinnacles of Esau rising. Slakia. Of Esau rising. And now that, back in the day, the fur trade, the fur trade wars, man. That's how big it was. All right, it was like I think it was a 7-year war, maybe even more. But point being, this is a megalith, a monument of Esau's bloodshed and murder. Look at the revenues, the total asset. These are big numbers, man. This is a big company. So we're gonna read it here. This is from, where is this? Globe and Mail. Hudson Bay Company, which is cutting 2,000 jobs in its key North American retail business to help in its recovery efforts, is operating on the assumption that business will remain difficult. And this is a very expensive company with quality things, though. A lot of stuff they took from GAD, a lot of things they ideas and styles of clothing and things like that they stole. Of course, they're mocking it, and they're making a killing. They're making a big killing on it. So I'm gonna get into a little bit of history on the Hudson Bay Company, because I screenshotted this book that I have. You're on the go, so screenshot things and record it on your phone. American Indian Holocaust and Survival, by Russell Thornton. And I'm going to start at page 243. It says, further smallpox epidemics occurred in Quebec at the beginning and the middle of the 18th century, and among the Ottawa, which is a tribe, at the end of that century. Right? It says, unimportant causes of the American Indian depopulation included the epidemic in the mid-1700s was so severe that many Indians referred to 1755 as the year of the great smallpox epidemic. It says other important causes of American Indian depopulation included tuberculosis, recurrent patterns of famine and starvation, and alcoholism. Mooney asserted that depopulation began in central Canada shortly after 1670, the year when the Hudson Bay Company was chartered. That's when it was founded and came into existence. And it's funny that smallpox started spreading because these devils, what they did, they would basically, what's that devil from Nova Scotia, the British, I don't know if he was a general, but they have a statue of this guy, and he was known as the guy that gave, he said he instructed that people who had smallpox, that their blanket should be given to healthy people so that it spreads. But give it as a gift, like a nice gesture, that's why it says that gift destroyeth the heart, man. You can trick someone with a gift. It says however, later smallpox epidemics killed 120 victims in a few weeks. at St. Albert, Canada, and all told it killed over 3,000 Cree and Blackfoot in a year. Alright, and now we're gonna go page 65. Alright, because this is a twofold lesson, because I kind of wanted to get in this as well, and that's the spirit that I found it in this book, that, you know, Esau always pushes that thing about alcohol, and you guys are drunks and all this shit, but remember, everything, you know, that comes from the earth is medicine, in one way or the other. Food is medicine, right? It heals the body. So alcohol is a medicine as well. Alcohol, if used properly, right? Everything has a right and left, as it tells you that in Sirach, in the book of Ecclesiasticus. It said the Lord hath created, you know, a balance, man. If I can find it, actually, I'll get it. I can't find it right now, but it's in the Apocrypha. I think I can't find it. But basically, it's going into how there's a balance to things, right? So when you get like cocaine or heroin or all these terrible things that you know them as, they all derive from what? Plants. And those are medicines, but you have to know how to use them, and you have to respect them, right? So when people don't respect it and they abuse it, that's why they call substance abuse. You see what happens, right? You get bit, you know, by the serpent. Okay, you know, you play with the serpent, you get bit. So again, this alcohol, it was a medicine, but it was in a way that it was used or given. The Gadites didn't really operate, you know, on that. They didn't know that, and that's why, really, out of all the Northern Kingdom, it's really Gad and Reuben that are on the alcohol heavy. Mainly Gad more, because spiritually it tells you they were priests. In Deuteronomy 33, it tells you that they were priests, and you know, they abstain from certain things, you know. So if your body's not used to something, like, don't drink for 10 years, you know. And then have a beer or two, and then you see how you feel. Your body's like, whoa, what is this, right? So imagine for people that never even did those things, and then Esau comes with his rum and whiskey and all this shit, and say, hey, here, it's free, you know. And you're already catching hell, you know. Your fucking uncle or father or mother or children might have died already from smallpox or being butchered. Now you have to make by the British, and now you have to trade with these French crackers, but you think they're different. So you know, he gives you some rum, and oh, but you like it, you know, it numbs you, you know. Obviously, it tells you, was it Proverbs? Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, man. Meaning you're catching hell. So again, it's not a simple thing of, oh, it's just alcoholics and this. It's again, it's intergenerational trauma. It's psychological scars. So it says much 17th century North American Indian population or depopulation, it says, stemmed directly from the effects of these early colonies, particularly as colonists brought more diseases to more American Indians. Dobbins, for example, has noted 17th century North American Indian epidemics of smallpox, 4 of measles, 3 of influenza, 2 of diphtheria, 1 of typhus, 1 of bubonic plague, and 1 of scarlet fever. And again, who brought all these things? The bubonic plague. Who brought all these things? It was Esau, man. You know, when he came from his crack grass from Europe, right? So he brought all these things, all these fucking diseases and shit, you know. So that's the, what do you call it, the history on that. It says colonies also caused further conflicts between Europeans and American Indians, which resulted in warfare and genocide, famine, starvation, and destruction of American Indian ways of life, and pushed Indian tribes away from their lands into more and more restricted areas. And it was restricted because the land that they gave you couldn't till. Majority of the time. 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10 times you couldn't till it, man. And also restricted, meaning that you couldn't actually get off the land. You actually needed permission from Esau to get off the land. You know, you needed like a permit or license, or if you wanted to visit another reservation, you had to go and get a permit. If you left that reservation, you would be arrested. You would have a bounty on your head. You know, you would have a bounty on your head, and you had bounty hunters back then. Even in Canada, it says. To be included among the depopulating effects of colonies was the introduction of alcohol to American Indians, although it seemingly took them a while to succumb to it. It was probably not until late in the 17th century that drunkenness became a major Indian problem. It became so, it is asserted by James Axtell, as a result of trade between Europeans and American Indians. Alcohol was introduced to the Indians as a gift, a compassionable toast before trading or politicking began in earnest, but it quickly became a staple of the trade itself when the Europeans saw that many natives, though by no means all, acquired a large thirst for it, despite its initially unpleasant taste and their total lack of experience with fermented beverages. It says, despite its relative weight, neither the capacity nor the knowledge of the Indians or their language was necessary for the sale of it, and the profits to be made were considerable, especially when it had been watered. You know, so Esau was making a killing, you know, watering down alcohol and seeing, right? Like if you so-called white people say, oh, why are you so mad? We're brothers. Right? Esau, Jacob, aren't they brothers? Yeah, they're brothers, but what kind of fucking brother does that to another brother? Right? If you see he has a problem with alcohol, you start selling him more and encouraging him more until his downfall. So that's why it tells you they mostly broke the brotherly covenant long time ago, man. from long time ago. American Indians at that time seemingly never learned to drink moderately. Most drinking Indians imbibed only to become thoroughly drunk. Social drinking for taste or mildly pleasant sensations was rare. Traders soon realized that a drunk Indian was far easier to exploit than a sober Indian. All right, again, going into a Esau and Jacob. Right, that's why in Psalms, what is it, 50 or 55, it says that his words are smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. Right? Rum was in fact one of the main reasons for the traders' success with the Indians. Next page, 66. Since negotiations for the sale of furs were often made in the heart of the forest, a practice the famous Hudson Bay Company tried to avoid by having the tribesmen bring their furs to certain trading posts or forts, so that trader could easily induce the warriors to have a free dram of rum, which a dram is like a unit of measurement. I'm not exactly sure how much. Let me tilt it just this way. 1 second. Slakia. Alright. Okay, so it says this was a fatal step for the Indian. It says 1 dram called for another, and before long the tribesmen were thoroughly drunk. It says the trader could then literally steal the skins and furs, slipping off into the night with his prizes. It was not long before the American Indian leaders recognized what was happening and pleaded with colonial leaders to curb the spread of alcohol. The arguments they used were two: their people were dying in excessive numbers from drinking-related murders, and also from exposure and increased susceptibility to colds, pneumonia, and other diseases. It says, and the temperance issue. In the end, though many native societies were virtually destroyed by the quest for alcohol, the desire for rum impelled Indian hunters to kill more game than was necessary to purchase only dry goods, thus hastening the serious ecological imbalance in their territories. Alcohol also loosened the Indians' hold on his land. More than one treaty was signed under the influence and abuse that fueled Indian-white conflict throughout the colonial period and time and beyond. Salakia. Okay, so that was it on that, and that's all I really wanted to bring out. I was thinking of a scripture, but it slipped my mind. But again, this is it's just a token, man. All this is a sign. A token just means sign that this place is falling, man. This is like a pinnacle, man, like a corner, almost like a cornerstone of Canada, Hudson Bay Company. It was very, very big, man. There's a map right here of how north it was. This is, as you see here, that's the Hudson Bay, that's the ocean, and then you have Montreal right there, and it's way up north, and that was the whole area. So you had a lot of skins, man, a lot of furs, a lot of things they got from the Gaddis that certain, like I said, a way of style, dress, all these things. So this is just another sign. All right, so I want to say Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, double honors unto the apostles of GMS that do rule well, and salutations unto you brothers out there. Until next time, Shalom.